What's up, everybody? It's prime time and it's grind time, and we're going to get after it today because it has been a while since I have done this with you guys, and I apologize for that, but I got a good one for you today. And that is, we've been hearing a lot about, I don't know if you follow a lot of people on social media or whatever, but I keep seeing this whole thing about like hustle and grinding, hustling, doing all this stuff, side hustle. You get all these things and you're like, what does that even mean, right? Like, what do we even know or do when it relates to that word? And so I want to break this down for you guys, and I want to challenge you a little bit and simply ask you the question, what is it that you're hustling for, right? Like what is it that you need to get out there and hustle and grind for in your own personal life? What does that look like? What are you trying to hustle for or grind for? And for those of you that don't know, hustle and grind, it's like basically to like work your butt off. You're willing to do some things to basically set yourself apart than the competition or others around you. And so my challenge for you is that first question. Like, before you can even go grind and hustle, you got to know what it is that you're going to go grind and hustle for. So a lot of times I get the opportunity to talk to other students that I'm coaching or even other coworkers and things. And as we start going back and forth, and it's like, we'll be having questions and answer time and going back and forth with one another. And a lot of times I'll ask the question, especially to like my students and stuff, I'll say like, okay, what is it that you want? Like, is it money? Like, do you want to make more money? Do you want to grow a team? Do you want to just get better at certain skills in your business? Like, what is it that you want? What do you want to hustle for? Because if you don't have a clear vision and basically know what it is that you're going to go hustle and grind for, there's no point of hustling and grinding, right? There's no point in doing that because you're going to be out there running around like a chicken with your head cut off and you don't have a clear vision. So what you need to do first is you need to define what it is that you want to go hustle and go after and grind for. A lot of people will be out there and be like, oh, I'm so busy, I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, great, what are you doing it for? What do you mean? I'm doing it for my family. Okay, that's great, but like, what are you doing it for? Like, you got to define what it is other than just like, I'm doing it for my family, or I'm doing it for money, or I'm doing it. Like, you got to have a clear vision as far as what is it that you want to do. I have this conversation all the time. You've got to work backwards sometimes. A lot of people in my business, they'll say like, oh, I want to do 250,000 GCI or 250 GCI, or, they want to do 100 million GCI and all these things. And I'm like, what do you want to net? And they don't even know what it is that they want to take home. So sometimes you've got to work backwards and say like, what do you want to net? The question is like, the answer is, I want to net and take home this year 150,000. Okay, great. So in order to take 150,000 home, you've got to do this amount of GCI. And then it breaks down that to say, this is how many deals you're going to have to do. This is how many appointments you're going to have to go on. This is how many people you're going to have to meet with, right? Because not every appointment is going to turn into a listing or a buying agreement. So those are the things that you need to do to break those things down. The other thing I need to say is, are you motivated enough? I get the excuse, and I'm going to say excuse, and I'm going to be real with you guys. I get the excuse a lot of times from people that you start laying out a plan for them, right? You start laying out that vision, and you're like, in order to get there, these are the things that you're going to have to do. And unfortunately, a lot of people give up or get lazy or don't actually want to fulfill those things that you want to talk about. So then I go back to the question that I first asked, and what are you hustling for then? What are you grinding for? If you don't want to go do these things that we've set out for you to do to help you become successful and get to where you need to be, then what's the point? What's the point of doing all that stuff if you don't want to put in the work? And that's going to take me into my next question, and that is, what sacrifices are you willing to make in order to go grind and go hustle and meet that goal? Because when you go and grind and when you hustle, you are definitely going to have to sacrifice some things. And so that's the thing that you need to think about as well is, hey, is it always cute and sexy to be working until 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning at night because that's the only time after you get the kids down or whatever it is, after showing houses or doing what that is in your life, to then be able to work on the business and grow that business? I don't know, that's up to you, but you got to be willing to sacrifice some sleep, and you got to be willing to sacrifice some time with the kids, and you got to be willing to sacrifice some personal time. Maybe I wanted to go see that movie. Well, maybe you should give up that movie and you should go work on your business. I'm just being real with you guys. I'm just being real. If you want to be the top 1% in your industry, you've got to be willing to sacrifice some time. The next thing that I'm going to piggyback off of that, though, is I'm going to say it's okay to take a break. Right? Because we all know that when we go hustle, and for those of us that do go hustle and grind and get after it and sacrifice and do all this other stuff, the one thing we constantly got to be aware about is getting burnt out. And I don't want you to get burnt out. What I want you to do is put in the time and put in the work and also have a healthy life. What I mean by that is you've got to take at least an hour out of your day for you, whether that's exercising, whether that's reading, whether that's whatever it is that you're going to go do to basically free your mind up off of all those things that you're going out there to hustle and grind after, right? But you've got to have a healthy life and you've got to have a healthy balance. Otherwise, it gets too stressful, it gets too overwhelming, it gets too exhausting, and then you find yourself getting a month, 2, 3 months into this, and you find yourself giving up because you've put in way too much time, you're too tired, you're too exhausted, and you're burnt out, and you give up and you move on to something different. Don't be that person. Understand that it does take time. It does take sacrifice. You need to trust the process. You need to put in the time, and when you do, you are going to be successful at whatever it is that goal is that you've laid out in that clear vision. Again, I'm going to run these down for you. You need a clear vision because otherwise you don't know what you need to hustle and grind for. You've got to be motivated enough where you're willing to sacrifice some things in order to get there, and you've got to put in the time. And then you've also got to understand that it's okay to take a break every once in a while because you need that for a healthy and balanced life. That's your prime time grind time today. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.